Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar. We are EBS, your experienced technology partner. We specialize in the deployment of Sage Business Management and Microsoft solutions, managed services and secure on-premises and cloud-based infrastructure. The business is 45 years old. My name is Darren Tolley and I am one of the account managers here at EBS. Today we are joined by Draycir, who we've partnered with for many years. Draycir are a Sage tech partner and provide a wide range of innovative solutions for Sage 200. And many of you will already be utilizing Spindle Document Management, one of Draycir's flagship products. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Ross Barker, who will give us an overview of Draycir's Excel Data Bridge solution, which works with Sage 200 to provide dynamic import capabilities from Excel. We are recording today's presentation and we'll make this available to you in the next few days. There are lots of recordings on our YouTube channel. Remember to hit subscribe to receive notifications when we load new videos. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat, or there will be an opportunity at the end of the presentation in the Q&A session. Without further ado, I will pass you over to Ross. Morning, Ross.
Morning, Darren. Thank you for that kind intro, and welcome to everybody on this morning's session. Equally, I appreciate your time this morning. As Darren mentioned, my name's Ross. I work for Draycir, a long-standing partner of EBS. We're not quite as old as EBS. We celebrate our 24th birthday in 2025. But we have been around the block, and as Darren mentioned, some of you will be more familiar with our flagship product, Spindle. That has been around since day one, but we have added to our product stack over the years, and one of our most recent additions, albeit a couple of years ago now, is Excel Data Bridge. By way of introduction to Draycir, for those that don't know us or have come across our business before, we are an award-winning software vendor. We operate in the channel, work with 500 plus partners worldwide. That translates to about 4,500 organizations we work with. So tens and tens of thousands of bums on seats using the Draycir software on a day-to-day basis. We've got users of the Draycir software in currently about 54 countries globally. I think it was at the last count. So a very well-established organization, but very robust product base that supports that. As I mentioned, Spindle Document Management is that product we're most well known for, I would suggest. But we've also got a number of credit control based solutions, and that's really our key areas of expertise, and with our payment functionality. All of our functions, however, carry that same theme. It's about improving those efficiencies within your business to ultimately save you time and money. One of those solutions is Excel Data Bridge, which of course we're here to have a look at this morning. An Excel Data Bridge is a really simple and easy to use piece of software, simply because you work within Excel. That familiarity that we all have within Excel, some better than others of course, but you're not using another piece of software. You're not having to learn that software from scratch. It's an Excel spreadsheet. We're just taking away that second input of data, because many of us will work in Excel, do all of our calculations and formulas in there, be comfortable because the familiarity is there. But then when we're happy with it, we have to go into Sage 200 and then key all that information in again, which of course, from a time management exercise, is not the one. It is that live link to the Sage 200 data, and it allows you to then post bulk transactions into Sage 200. It might be 2, it might be 22, it could be 222. So again, it gives you the ability to speed up that process quite considerably. It will validate that information as well against Sage 200. So it will let you know where you've gone wrong if you've gone wrong. So when I refer to 222 or 222, you're not having to find yourself all the way down that Excel sheet in terms of the information you're keying in before you realize you might have made a mistake. Actually, you can validate as you go through, and the software would highlight to you if there are any errors. You don't need to be a Sage 200 user to access Excel Data Bridge, which of course is a bonus for many organizations, because obviously there are cost implications to Sage 200, so you'd be effectively doubling up on a license. Within Excel Data Bridge, you just need that user license. You don't need to access Sage 200, so it can be quite useful for you to be able to access Excel Data Bridge across quite large teams within the business. It does support multi-company, so if you've got multiple companies, multiple Sage data sets, Excel Data Bridge can accommodate that without any issue. It gives you the ability to work remotely also, because you can work offline. You can drill down into that information into Sage 200, be it order list to make amends to, be it stock list to edit and make amends to. Now that might be because you are, on the train during a commute. Internet may be down. There can be a number of reasons, and again, it still allows you to work through that information and then post that detail once you're back online later on in the day. Important for many organizations as well is that there is a full audit trail, so you'll be able to see each user's actions within Excel Data Bridge. So finding any errors or who did what, when, and how can sometimes be a bit of an exercise. You wouldn't have any issue with that. Should anything occur, you've got that full audit history available to you. Now, Excel Data Bridge has a number of functions available for you. And again, you can, dependent on your license type, pick which functions you need. It's not likely you would need them all, although we've got a handful of customers that have got almost all of the functions. Certainly one of the most popular is the nominal ledger function, the sales ledger functions, and the purchase ledger functions. Now, as you can see from the list here, there is quite a few, and we'd be here all day if we were to go through an example through each one of them. I'll pick a couple out this morning to go through, most notably our sales order, and I'll also have a look at our new stock function by way of it being the newest one off the shelf. But we do also have some supplementary videos for our nominal ledger function, which I think would be really useful. I'm sure Darren will probably share those with you afterwards. But as you can see, a number of functions there. We are adding to those functions all the time. I make note of the new stock take function there, as you can see. And this was recently created, but created off the back of a number of pieces of feedback from our customers. And that's the same with the next functions that we will effectively create. If we are taking that feedback from our existing users, if there is a particular hole or a pain point within your business, do let us know. If we can create the Excel Data Bridge function to support that, we absolutely will. And these are just some of the sound bites that relate to that new stock take function that we most recently created, as you can see. That's pretty much it by way of a brief introduction to Draycir, the product itself. I'm not one for death by PowerPoint. I would rather show you the solution. So I'll just jump into Excel Data Bridge now and Sage and show you a couple of those examples. So Excel Data Bridge. Darren, just checking you can still see my screen, okay?
Yep, we can still see the screen.
Perfect. Okay, so I've got a couple of different functions here. Function sheets, I might refer to them, this morning. Effectively, they're exactly the same thing. I'll go through a couple of examples this morning by way of sales order, those bulk creation sales orders for us. I'll also have a look at the stock options as well, as we touched on a moment ago. Just to say, though, there is that familiarity there with us all using Excel on a day-to-day basis. And we do like things in a certain way. You might have particular pieces of information that you have downloaded from maybe a third-party sales order sheet, maybe an Amazon order list, which simply aren't relevant for the information that you need to update to Sage 200. That's absolutely fine, because we can map Excel Data Bridge across the top of that. Now, mine is obviously branded as Excel Data Bridge, not that it matters so much, but aesthetically you can change the format and the layout of that particular sheet to look something a little bit like this. It can carry your own branding, logos, library, of course, or actually with a sales order example, if you're processing bulk transactions for a particular customer of yours, you can of course brand them and add your customers' logos accordingly and actually save that sheet. So as you come in to process those orders, whether it's 2 days later, the end of the week, the end of the month, again, you've kept them separate. So you've got customer 1, 2, and 3, and all of their customers, all of their orders are on the same sheet. Or of course, they can all sit as separate orders within the main sales order sheet, as you can see here. I'll just jump into Sage 200 very, very quickly so I can see those, we can see those sales orders that currently exist, and then we'll be able to see that transfer of information through to Sage 200 as we process that list of orders. So if I just jump into my sales order list very, very quickly, and we'll see my final sales order within my current list is 5218, as we can see there. Again, just so we can see there's no kind of smoke and mirrors with this morning's session. Again, this is my standard sales order creation sheet. As you can see here, I've got some orders pre-populated in here to save us a little bit of time this morning. But as I say, you can have as much or as little information in here as you want to. You could have just very simply the kind of the 4 or 5 main columns of information you need, or you can add as many as you want to. That might be something a little bit like company. So we touched on a moment ago about the software supporting multi-company. Help if I could spell it first of all. So you can add any additional columns you want to, and then simply map that against the information that we want to post it against in Sage 200. So I've added another column now, as you can see, company. Now, Excel Data Bridge is action from the ribbon at the top, and you see I've got my Excel Data Bridge controls here. But the familiarity is there, as I say, it's a simple Excel spreadsheet. If I click into my designer here, because I've added a new column, I want to map that against the information that relates to this function. And dependent on which function you're using, one of those nominal ledger functions, one of the purchase order processing functions, sales order, cash functions, stock functions, you would obviously have the different fields of information here that relate to the areas of Sage that we'll essentially be posting information against. I'll just keep it quite simple for this particular example, and we'll say we've got the company detail here, as you can see. Now, all I want to do is just map that cell against the company information. So I'll just hover over that, include that information. Now I've mapped the company field into this function, because when I now create that list of bulk orders, I want to populate some information against that company field in Sage 200 also. So it's just a case of adding that additional information should you want it. Now you see I've got multiple companies here. I've got Home Style Sage and I've got my Draycir demo data as well. Because I've added that additional company here, I actually might want to post this against one of my different companies. Now I can toggle between the two, of course. So just make sure I'm spelling this correctly. Draycir demo, just double check Draycir demo data. Make sure I get it correct. And then we'll post this second order. As you can see, they're grouped by ID here. So we've got the 3 separate orders, A, B, and C. So if I just pop this one against Home Style Sage, okay, and we'll do the same with this order here. Okay, so I've got the 3 orders there now, and I'm looking to create. Now there could be 3 orders on here, there could be 33 orders, there could be 333. And again, you can work and validate as you go, or effectively it could just be that these are a very similar order that you receive on a daily, weekly basis. Well, rather than have to key that into Sage all the time, why not just save the sheet? You know you're getting these 3 orders from these customers every day, every week. All you're effectively doing in that case is updating the date, for example, or if there's any additional information, a slight tweak in the information change, you could of course do that. And that might be something as simple as a comment line, for example. So if we were to change this one to EBS web, for example, if I was happy now to proceed, I've got all the information I want to, rather than me key all of this information in, I can validate it if I'm continuing to work through this, or I can very simply click create. Now I've not had any value in here at the moment, because obviously that will map against the pricing within Sage 200. So let me just create these orders very, very quickly. As you can see, the software is just now working in the background to create these orders. It will now provide us with a status update on the left-hand side. Now, if I'd have validated these orders, I'm conscious of time this morning. If there were any errors, of course, it would let me know. So if there was any information that was incorrect or it didn't map against our Sage data, it would, of course, let me know. But these have all been processed now. So quite frankly, I would be happy to have a quick look in Sage if that's something that I needed to do. Now, if I just jump into my sales order list very, very quickly, we can see we've got those orders that have now appeared. My previous order was 5218, if you recall, but we've now got 2 orders. Now, you might be thinking, why is there only 2? Well, if you remember, we actually had those those orders posting against Homestyle Kitchens or my secondary Sage company, Draycir Demo Data. Well, of course, I'm logged in as Homestyle Kitchens, which is why we're only seeing the 2 here. Now, again, if I was to jump into this particular line here, so order 5219, as we can see, and just wait for this one to open up. My Sage is a little bit slow this morning, so bear with me. We'll be able to see those items that we've very simply created almost at the click of a button. And there's that updated carriage line, comment line edit that we made as well, EBS web, for example. And it's literally as straightforward as that. And as I say, particularly useful if you're processing bulk orders, or you have a very similar order process from your customers on a weekly basis, daily, weekly, monthly basis. Well, actually, you could just have that sheet saved, make any slight tweak or amends as you go, and just simply create them all in bulk. But if I was just to go back into Excel Data Bridge very, very quickly and show you the same thing. So this time I'll just remove the process status, because again, think of it like I just mentioned a moment ago. You've got that sheet saved. This time I'm going to change this one and move that one to Homestyle Kitchens. And actually, I've had a conversation with this particular customer in mind. I'd like to include an agreed unit price of, let's say, £2, for example. Again, I could edit the detail if I want to. I'll change this one to R&D for, let's say, Ross and Darren this morning. And again, I'll create those orders. So you think, even if it's just a very small tweak or change, I mean, obviously I'm only working from 3 orders here this morning, but you might well be working from, as I say, 33, 303. There could be many, many orders that you're looking to process within here. That's now done, as you can see there. And when I go back into Sage 200 very, very quickly, you'll now see we've had the new orders come through. This time, however, we've got 3 orders that have pulled through, because of course I changed that company field a moment ago. And that particular order relates to this line where I've got those 20 units at £2 each, as we can see there. I also changed the comment line, didn't I, on that second line of the order, which was this one here. And that comment line should now read R&D instead of EBS web. So you can see very, very simply how those changes are made, but also then mapped and created within Sage 200. Not sure if we've got any questions so far on that side of things, Darren, but if not, I can proceed to showing that stock example as well. Was there anything that's come through at all, or happy for me to proceed?
I mean, whilst we're looking at sales orders, of course, the process would be the same for any of the other sort of modules, really. So nominal ledger journals, as a for instance,
absolutely
would be the same, except you'd probably have 2 columns of debits and credits, maybe, but you know, or the signage is different. But yeah, so whilst we're looking at, you know, specifics here, the same process applies to any of the other modules.
Absolutely the same. Yeah, absolutely. Again, the familiarity is there. Excel is the backdrop to this. You know, the clues in the title, Excel Data Bridge. We're saving you the hassle and the time spent of rekeying in that information. Again, it can just be very simply done by inputting the data within Data Bridge, validating that, and of course then letting the software do all the legwork within Sage 200 for you. But of course, you can make those amends accordingly. Excuse me. So if we just have a look in our stock example in that case. Now, again, I've pulled through my stock list for, if we look at my product code for built-in, for example, we've got that information here. But let's have a quick look at our stock creation sheet. And this is one of the newer sheets, or certainly a focus of the team for updating those most recent functions. And again, I mentioned before that you have that two-way transfer of information, so you can work offline, but also so you can pull that information that you might need through from Sage 200 to make any amends against those sales orders or stock, for example, with the live examples we're going through this morning. Now, again, I'm in Excel Data Bridge at the top from my ribbon, as you can see, and we've got the stock filter and stock download button. So if I just open up my filter here, and we'll put a quick filter on so that ultimately we're not pulling through everything, but you can see the amount of different filters that I have here. So if you're looking for a specific stock group against analysis code, barcode, whatever it needs to be, of course, you can create those filters. So you're working in quite a specific area. I'm just going to reference built-in so we can keep these numbers at a relatively manageable state this morning, and I'm just going to download that list of stock. Yes, we'd like to override that. So if you've got any previous data within your Excel Data Bridge sheet, it's no problem. Of course, we're just updating that information. That's how quick it is for Excel Data Bridge to effectively have gone and grabbed all of that stock that relates to that condition that we've just added. I've now downloaded that stock here. And again, if I was now working offline, or if I'm just about to jump on the train, or my internet goes down for any reason, again, I can continue to do all I need to do within this sheet until I'm back online before I was to run those updates via DataBridge, which of course would relay back to Sage. Now I've got a couple of different stock items here, all grouped as you can see here. So if we just go to, now you might be thinking, why have I got a number of different lines here, all within the same item? Well, again, if I was just to skim across, again, we've got quite a bit of got quite a bit of information within this particular function. As you can see, many columns of information. You might need them all, you might need a handful. Again, that's really up to you. As we saw with the previous example, we can add more columns, we can map it across with the designer, or if we simply don't need columns, in this case Y and Z, we can remove them from the list. So they're very kind of tailored sheets. You'll see here, though, that I've got the different selling bands for that particular stock item. So again, that's why I've got a number of different lines against that one particular stock item, as we can see here. Now, all of these items have got various different prices, as you can see there. If I just jump back into Sage 200, we'll have a look at those prices on those pricing bands again, just so we can see there's no kind of smoke and mirrors from the demonstration this morning. We'll also have a quick look at the barcode as well. So this is that particular item, as we can see here. We've got the barcode down here as multiple zeros and then 86. If I just double check those selling prices, we can see here, look, 299.98, 299.98, and continuing. We're going to make a couple of edits to that, and again, we can see that then clearly updated in Sage 200. So I'm just going to bring up my stock item list again, and let's change this to a number that we can all easily remember. So I'll go with £500, quite a price increase, I know, but we'll go with it this morning, and we'll just change them all to 500. Why not? Okay, and actually we might want to change that barcode. So rather than it be 86, let's go with, in fact, we'll go with today's date, shall we? 141124. Okay, is that right? 11. There we go, perfect. And I can remove these other items here because ultimately it's the same item anyway. Now I've made those edits, of course, and again, if I wanted to make any further edits, I can do. If that was the only change I wanted to make at this stage, though, I can validate the information again if I want to, again if I'm continuing to work, or I can just simply run that. I'll run it because again, I'm conscious of everybody's time this morning, and we'll see Excel Data Bridge and now look to make those edits and those changes for us. As we can see on the left hand side, we've got that status updating as we speak. 25% done. Quickly running through that. As you said, it only takes a couple of seconds for those edits and the amends to do. I'm sure you're all in agreement that if you are, a business that holds stock, how time consuming this process could be. Even just changing the price on all of those selling bands, you'd have to go into each different selling bands, update, save, update, save, update, save. Here, effectively, I've just created that cost and clicked run. So within the space of a couple of clicks, it's done across the board. Now, if I just refresh my list very, very quickly, you can see with regards to my product code built in, which is the filter that we put on the stock we pulled through previously, all of those 299 amounts have all updated to 500, as we can see there. And if I was to click back into that particular stock item, that barcode that was originally multiple zeros and 86 is now today's date, 14/11/24, as we can see there. And again, we've got those selling prices here at £500 rather than the 299. So you can see how very, very easily but quickly I've been able to make those amends. That's just a very simple example. Obviously, you can really find yourself down a rabbit hole if you're having to edit stock. But again, if you've now got that sheet saved, I could save that sheet with the amends that I've made at £500. I might then want to come back into this particular sheet in 2 days' time, 2 weeks' time, or 2 months' time. Very simply make a change to the pricing, click run, and it's done within 2 clicks. Don't need to go ahead and create from scratch. I've got it. It's there. I can save it. You can have as many of those Excel Data Bridge sheets saved as you can see here. I'm an Excel Data Bridge license holder. It means whenever I'm opening one of those functions, I have the buttons clearly available to me at the top, and I can make those amends accordingly. Even if I was to add another line, actually, so if I just take this one out here, take these items out, because all I'm doing just to reset the sheet essentially is just taking out that status of processed. So if I was to go with, let's create an item very, very quickly so we can see. So I'll change that group ID to 9 to separate it from the existing ones that we've got. We'll just change this one to test, and we'll go with EBS web again, just that example we ran before. Okay, we can keep everything exactly the same. In fact, why don't we change the pricing again, just by way of that example we were going through previously? So we'll go back to £300, let's say. We thought we were being greedy against that item, or those changes we made, we can revert back to the original pricing, and we can click run on that. Same process before. I've made a quick edit, I've clicked run, let Excel Data Bridge do all of that manual entry for us that you would normally be having to do. As you can see, that status is just updating on the left-hand side. And once that's complete, we'll just have another quick look at those changes in Sage 200. Bear me a second, almost there. There we go, that'll about do us. And if I just refresh my screen very, very quickly, that £500 has now become £300, as you can see there. And if I was to search for, say, EBS, for example, there's that new item that we created just a moment ago. So again, it's as easy as that to create a new stock item as well. Again, and that's just a very quick way of showing you that update as well. That was pretty much all I wanted to go through with you this morning. So a couple of different examples there, both from that sales order creation sheet, sales order processing sheet, as well as the stock creation sheet, just to show you how that transfer of information two-way is easy for you. Any other questions that's come through from the attendees at all, Darren?
Not really. I've got one myself, which sort of there's sort of lots of different sort of functions really that we can utilize some of the modules for. I mean, and we've discussed this before in terms of expense claims, as a for instance, from employees.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So you could have your expense sheet saved as, for example, an Excel sheet. If your expenses are always the same, if you travel into the office on the same 2 days every week, or your expenses are always very much the same, well, it becomes again, a bit of an admin job for you to do, doesn't it? Well, why don't you just save that expenses sheet as is here? Yes, I might need to make one tweak or change, but effectively, if I'm an Excel Data Bridge user, I don't even need to be an Excel Data Bridge user, should I say, in that example, because I could fill in my information, send it through to our accounts team, who presumably would be Excel Data Bridge users. They can check the information, then they can create that sheet from here. So again, even, don't think that if you've got 20, 30 members of your sales team, for example, that all have expenses, they don't all have to be Excel Data Bridge users. Essentially, they're just updating their expenses in an Excel format. When they send it through to your accounts team, who is an Excel Data Bridge user, they then have the ability, via the ribbon and the controls at the top, to validate that information and then create it. So yeah, it's a really good question, Darren. It works. It works really well. Yeah, absolutely.
It would go into the purchase ledger rather than the sales order.
Sorry, of course, yeah. Yes.
That's pretty much it, actually. I think. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks Ross for doing that.
No problems at all.
And we always say this, look, we've given you sort of a flavor of what you can do. If you would like to have a one-to-one and have specific questions that you'd like to ask, then we can organize that at a later date. Other than that, again, as I say, thanks very much everyone for joining today, and we'll be editing and getting the video out, I would think probably by Monday, Tuesday next week. Okay, thanks very much. Take care.